Radio, and I am so happy to have our ongoing guest, Christine Baumgartner, with me again today. And her series has been phenomenal. You know, we say that one of our key values is about relationships, but it's taken this long and finding Christine to really have a very, very good discussion around relationships. And today, Christine has a very special message about changing our language. So we can certainly relate better to men that we are in the office with or that we have some connection to, but probably it works for everybody. And I'm so happy to welcome back Christine Baumgartner to Women's Radio. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Pat. It has been a continuing pleasure on my side to get a chance to keep talking to you so regularly about, I think, these very important subjects that
They
I'm
are.
hoping are helping the women that are listening who are maybe know they're struggling, having conversations with men in the office, or don't even know that they're struggling, but think, oh, and I could try something additional that make it be even more smooth and more successful.
Well, I thought that the title of this might be challenging for some people, like, why do I have to change? Why do I have to change the way I do it? And I have thought that way. So I'm one of those. But I do think that we're all here to make some changes. So it never hurts to get information, especially from someone who is really on top of this, like you are, about what works.
Yeah.
And that's why you would make some change. So go for it.
Oh, when I'm on the phone with clients, with female clients, I've heard that a lot. How come I'm the person that has to change? How come I'm the person that has to do something different? And my first realistic answer is because I'm talking to you. You're the person that called. You're the person that paid me money for advice. And I wish, boy, I could charge a whole bunch more money if I could beam it to the other person and have them be doing something different, because it's not just one person ever. And if I'm talking to you, then you're the person that gets to decide, is it not working, or would you like it to work better? Then maybe what you're doing could use some tweaking or some adjusting. If you're not getting the responses that you desire, then, Einstein is the one who said doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is a picture of or sign of insanity.
And I want that's such a good point. I wanted to add something to that. And you know, and from my own experience, I think I thought for a long time, well, if I concede, if I change, I'm not being true to myself. That was one thing I thought. The other thing is, um, well, that would not be honest. That's not really truly who I am. So it was all, I think it was all about me.
Mhm.
And I didn't see it as this is just an opportunity to tweak how you may do things to get the result that you want.
Mhm.
You want.
Yeah.
And I think that that may be helpful to other people who may have been or be in the position I was in.
Yes. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound really controversial, but I'll quote somebody else that'll make it less personal, even though I totally agree. There used to be a psychologist on the radio named Dr. Tony Grant. And for the women that would call frequently, she'd say, so do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? You can only have one. Because, and so in answer to what you said is, I am generally 90% of the time not asking people to change your core values, not the core of who you are. And if you look in the dictionary under any word, there's usually more than one definition. There's usually more than one way to look at that word. So what I'm saying is, if you change the word, it doesn't mean that you mean different. It means it might land different for the other person. They might, if you want them to do something and the way you're asking them is it's not working, then let's see if you could change the way you ask. You're still going to get the thing you want, hopefully, and you just tweak the way you ask. So it's not changing you as a person, it's just changing your verbiage. So go ahead.
So what you said that just triggered a thought is, if you're in business, you think about your clients. You're
Mhm.
always thinking about your clients. You're thinking, what is going to serve my client? And
Mhm.
I think this word serve is underused. I think that more people ought to use it more often. So if you are in a business setting, and let's say someone's your boss, you don't think about your boss being your client. You think about your boss being over you, your boss having to be the person who's right or right. You have opinions, right? But if you would think instead about how can I serve this person, I think that it would help change how
Yes.
you approach that person.
And another piece of that, Pat, because that is such a good point, is if you're having a better relationship with your boss, probably the other people in that department, as well as the customers, are going to get served better if, in
Mhm.
fact, your relationship with them is smoother. If it's not
Right.
rancorous or cantankerous, or there's not a lot of misunderstandings going on, because the corporate culture, the temperature of the company can really affect the bottom line. You
Really.
know, I worked briefly temporary when I got laid off from the job that I'd had, and then I started my first company. And I could tell within the first hour if those people were happy working there or not. And it often came from all the misunderstandings from the direct reports, usually. So, one of the things that I have seen often with women is we have an idea and we're clear about this might be a good thing to suggest, and we'll talk about like or maybe or believe. And generally, men don't talk that way. Men say, this is my idea. I think
Mhm.
this will work. This is why. This is going to be the bottom line. We soft pedal it. We soft talk about it. And we talked about last week how often we are groomed and instructed as little girls to be nice and not to upset people and to always try to get to people to like us. And the detrimental side of that in business is we don't say our truth. The thing you were saying is we want to say our truth, and we need to say our truth, and we need to say it in a very direct, forceful, meaning we believe it, not forceful, angry, or beating somebody
You're
over the
right.
head. But this is my idea, and this is why I think it'll work, and this is why I think we should do it. And here's my evidence, and here's my backup to it. And what do you think? Now,
And Christine, it's one of the reasons I'm so happy that you're here. I don't think that women get enough education on how the right words to use. And there was a great movie um, that talked with these little characters in it. And this woman was about to say something three times, and that would make it happen. And the little character said, use your right words. And knowing that if she said it one more time, this magical thing would happen. So I keep that in mind a lot because our words are magical. And I think it pays if we can learn the right words to use.
so if we go back to, yes, we're asking you to make some changes. And can you see, if you're listening to our interview, how this change would make it more effective? You would get your idea across, you would get buy-ins better. So instead of saying,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about, because often that's where we want to go, well, but what if they don't like it? And what if there's something wrong with it? Trust me, if you just say what you're, this is what I believe. This is what I think, this is what we should do next. If they don't believe it, they're going to tell you back they don't.
Right.
Don't soft sell it. Sell it like, of course they're going to say yes. Why wouldn't they say yes? You've thought this out. It's a really good idea. Just come in it as if they're going to say yes. And then if they don't get your feelings hurt. Listen to what they say, then come back with more evidence. Or maybe they've thought of something you haven't thought of. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, then it would be this way. Then I would change this. But it's, if you
Mhm.
watch men give presentations or women that are very masculine at work, because we've talked about how there are some women that can do this automatically, but
Mhm.
often women don't do this automatically. It has to be a learned behavior. So I want you to do it anyway, even though it's going to feel weird, even though you're like, oh, but I can see myself wanting, and then you'll notice, oh, I was going to say maybe and sort of and kind of, because it's what we're taught to do. So if you need to just write out your script and practice it in the mirror, practice it with a friend so that you can say more forcefully. First, you have to really believe this thing, believe it with all your heart, and then say the words as if it's really the facts. And you'll be amazed at how people go, okay. I mean, I've taught this to clients who came back and went, they said, okay. I go, I know. It's
Well, as
really
they
fun.
say in the South, hush my mouth.
I know, because as you said, it's a magical experience when you change your words to be more powerful, more empowering. I mean, you and I are on a mission to have women feel empowered. And
Amen.
these kinds of words will make you feel empowered when you know exactly and you say exactly, and this is what's going to happen, and this is why, and this is my word, and here's the bottom line. People sit up and take notice, even if they don't agree. They will sit up and take notice. Where if you start out with they're gonna like look at their phone and they're not gonna take it seriously if you don't. If it's your idea,
Right
you
on.
need to take it seriously, right? Don't you agree with that, Pat?
I do agree with it, and I want to ask you if they don't have you in front of them like you are right now. So how can they get the confidence? Should they get a buddy that they could practice with,
Mm,
maybe
yeah.
someone who'll where the other person feels strongly about using the right words too, and then they could just practice together?
Well, I'll tell you, men love being asked for their advice. They
Ah,
love being asked for their advice. So if there's a man at your job or not at your job that you say, I want to learn to say this more forcefully. I have this thing I believe
oh,
in,
great
this
idea.
presentation. Would you help me? I'll tell you, any good man worth his salt going to go, okay, yeah, bring it on. I'm
Yeah.
ready. And then he's going to tell you words to say that you're going to go, oh no, oh yeah. And you need to say what he says. Whatever he says, you say it
Okay.
anyway, even if you don't feel it. And this is not changing you. This is broadening your vocabulary, giving you this empowering, because he will give you skills that he knows will work. Because the secret is, if you're presenting to men, he's now telling you how to present to men. How cool is that? I mean, you're like getting the
Totally.
inside secret scoop. So believe him when you ask his advice, believe him and take it and practice with him. And then tell him thank you. And then follow up with him after you did it.
You're so right.
This worked because you know who you're going to have now? An ally forever,
Ever.
ever.
Right.
The next time you need him, he is going to be on it.
Well, I have another story that I think you'll enjoy talking about using the right words. There was a man that I really admired. He had been an executive with McDonald's and he was in the fast food industry. He was really good at what he did, but he had a kind of really neat philosophy. He was diligent. I mean, he had lots of good qualities. And I went to him and I said, I'm going to have to fire someone. And I really don't like that. And I'm really worried about how to do it. And so I don't know word for word, but I will tell you the essence of what he said. He said, I have been there so many times, and he said, it is never easy. He said, you just have to use the best word you have and say, this is it, right? However you get it, however you can spit it out, you need to get it out. And the faster you do it, the
Yeah.
better you'll feel. And he said, so he said, I can tell you times as soon as I go in, I feel really bad, but I spit it out and I get it out, and the person seems to take it okay. And they get up and they pack up their little things and they leave. And he said, as soon as they round the corner, it is happy days are here again. I've never forgotten that.
Such a good point, Pat, because what I have learned, because I've certainly been let go more than once, and I've had to let people go more than once, it's always for the better, even when it feels awful. Personally, professionally, it can feel really awful. Since
Right.
I coach people in their romantic lives as well, they're, I don't want to upset somebody. I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
It's really important to let somebody go find the right person for them. If
Amen.
this isn't the right job for them, if this isn't the right company, if they're not the person that you need still at your company, you've outgrown each other, or the whatever it is, the reason that they shouldn't be there anymore, it's not fair to anybody to keep them,
You're
not to
so
them,
right.
not to you, to your customers, to your company. And they really will find a better place ultimately. I have every time I have found a better place that's a better match for me every time I've left, even though it felt icky.
Well, we were talking about working through hard times, and just before we started recording, and those times really felt bad. They were really, really difficult to get through, and in effect, I didn't have a person doing that to me. I had the universe doing it, where you feel really helpless, and Tony Robbins was talking about that on a program tonight, and said, do you think that I don't have challenges? Do you think that I don't feel afraid or that I feel uncomfortable? He said, if you're growing, you're going to have these feelings. You're going to get to a place where you think there's no answer to this. But you push through anyway, and then miracles happen. And he said, every time it's almost always the same, you know? So it's good to hear from other people. It's good to have mentors. It's good to have people like you, Christine, who remind us of what's true and that we can win. We can win by using the right words.
And the words I can leave the group with, that we're ending our interview, is lick your wounds, set a timer to be sad, and then say, what did I learn? What did I learn by being where I was? What good things did I get? What things did I learn I want different? And then how am I going to be different next? What new tools did I get that I learned from being in that job or that relationship? What did I learn now that I had to let somebody go? Is there something I could now do better next time to hire better, or to see something coming, or to mentor them better in the middle, or to just not, or just suck it up and say they need to leave sooner, whatever it is, there's always the positive side. But first you have to feel bad, then you get the positive side. I'm so not into the positive side right away. Never. I'm going to sit around and feel sorry for myself. I do set a timer, but I do have a
Well, I think that was something someone else said. They said when you really get down, or like you closed your company or something terrible has happened, is that
yeah,
everybody needs to grieve. So
you're entitled.
yeah,
Yes.
take a day, take 2 days,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then say that's it. I did
Okay.
it,
Yep.
and get back up and keep on
And
moving.
what did I learn? What did I
What did
learn?
I
Because
learn?
when
Right.
you look at what you learned, it will help start building you back up again from the doldrums of the bad. You go,
That's right.
what did I learn? What am I going to do different next time? That's always the second step after you feel sad.
Well, I hope that everybody got as much as I got out of this.
Thank you.
These are great, Christine. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with our audience. And I want to encourage the audience to write to us.
Mhm.
I believe that the email that I gave you was team@women-corp.com, TEAM@women-corp.com. And if you have questions for Christine, or you have stories that you think would be great to share, write us. We would love to hear from you. And we love to hear from you, Christine. So we'll see you again real
Yeah.
soon. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Pat.